Hello everybody and welcome to Quality Sewing and Vacuums How Do I Life today. I'm Andrea and today we are going to be making this really cute, adorable, portable placemat that our very own Gail Mikachonis, thank you Gail, she made up this pattern for Sew Fun this month. So if you've caught her this month, you'll see this is kind of a sneak peek. But anyways, I loved it so much and it was so fast and easy that I thought everybody needs to know this and see this. So we will have the instructions up where you can locate them, but it was really easy. There's not much instructions to it. I'll open it up so you can see. It has a little handle right here where you can carry your lunch. And then it has some little D-rings here. You just pull it out like an old-fashioned belt. That's dating myself. I had belts like this when I was with my corduroy pants as a little kid. All right. You get that out of there. It stays really well with just these little D-rings. Isn't that awesome? Ta-da! And there's some little finger snaps. We're going to go over those really quickly. There's adjustable here. And then I just brought this my little empty container, but I love bringing these reusable little containers to work with me. And then all of a sudden I have a little placemat here. And I am really excited about this because I don't know about you, but I have an hour drive in the morning and I eat in my car, so I'm going to have one of these for my lap in the morning. So it'll be really nice and convenient, but sometimes I also find myself eating by my keyboard and I don't want to get it on my keyboard, so it would be really nice to have this like right where I can multitask and work and eat my lunch at the same time. So anyways, let's get right into it. I'm going to set this one aside and we'll make our very own. I'm just going to snap that together. It's kind of like those reusable diapers. It's really nice. I had that with some of my kiddos. That was really great. The tools that we're going to use today, I've got my iron. I've got the OESD Perfect Punch with its tiny little mat right here because you don't want to be drilling holes into your regular cutting mat. You want its own little mat to go with that. We're going to be using some finger snaps, D-rings, and splash fabric. We brought in this splash fabric and we're currently carrying it right now. So if you want some, you can go online and it's available through Sew Fun right now. So we brought in these cute bunnies. Isn't it so fun? As I was making this, I was thinking this would be really cute to wrap up with like a little Easter treat or something inside with these little bunnies. Isn't that so cute? Okay, so the first thing that you need is your splash fabric, and I was able to make 2 full size of these mats out of 1 yard of splash fabric with a little bit of extra splash fabric. So just to keep that in mind, you can make 2 full ones. So you need a 17 by 17 inch square. So that's what I have here, 17 by 17 inches. And I'm going to put those right sides together. I'm going to switch these, put them right side together like so, right there and right there. And then I just used a piece of really thin batting. It's just what I found in my stash. But if you want to, you can use like the Insulbrite that will help to keep it insulated to be warm or cool, but even just putting a little bit of batting like this is going to help that. Keep it a little bit more cool or warm, whichever one you want. It really likes to stick to the back side of this splash fabric. So the cool thing about the splash fabric is that it's like oilcloth, but it's like laminated on one side and it's cotton on the other. If you're tuning in and you don't know much about splash fabric, it was created here in the Seattle area. And it's a local company. We love all their fabrics. We bring them in for Sew Fun periodically. So anyways, if you don't know much about the splash fabric, this is what it is, and it is glorious. We really love it, especially here in the Northwest when it's kind of moisty and wet all the time. Okay, so you just match up your corners just like so. I'm going to start on one end, sew all the way around, and leave about a 5-inch gap on one side. I'm going to take a couple of pins and I'm going to throw them in a few places around the edges just so my fabric doesn't shift all over the place. And when I put my pins in, I'm actually going to place them in my sewing line. I'm just going to do 1/4 of an inch around the edges because I don't need to adjust any of the edges. So we're just going to do 1/4 inch around the edges. And as I'm placing these pins, you can see I'm going to be sewing down this way. So my pin is always going to point towards the foot of my machine or my needle. So as I sew, I can just take those right out. And like I said, this is splash fabric. When you poke a hole, you punch the fabric. So I'm not going to put a pin in any other place than where I'm actually going to be sewing and putting holes in the fabric anyways. So that's why I'm putting it right up close to the edges, so it doesn't shift around. I'm going to put one more in this corner. You can also use the clips as well. I just happen to have pins handy, so that's what I'm using. Okay, we're going to go over to the sewing machine now. And my sewing machine, to do this basic stitch, is set up on a 2.5. It's just what pulls up when I turn on my machine. Okay. And I have my machine set up so it will start with a knot, and then when I push this button and I tell it to stop, it will also stop and cut it. And that is one of the most glorious things I love about the FOF. And these are newer machines. It's almost like cheating. Okay, let's go. And I do love that when I get to the corner and I'm really close, I can just tap my pedal down there once. And did you see how the needle went down? My needle's going to stay down and the foot lifted up just enough that I can turn it like so. And now that I place the needle in with it pointing towards my foot, I can just pull that needle out and let's go. It's shifting just a little bit, so I'm going to move my insulation over just a little bit. Okay. One more. Okay, there we go. And just take that one right out. Gonna fluff my batting there just a wee bit. Okay, gonna adjust my batting because I was pulling on it a little bit. I love it because when you get down to the corner and you're just a stitch or two away, you can do it just one stitch when you just tap that pedal, just a little bit. Gonna go a little ways and take out our pin. Make sure everything is straight. Let's go. Getting close. My batting is just a wee bit longer than the actual fabric itself. Do one more stitch. Make sure it went through all my layers. It did. And now I ended right here, and I know I want to end about right here. So I'm going to take this pin out, and I'm going to put it sideways just in that stitching area, and that's going to tell me I need to stop right there. And I'm going to do something that Charlotte, one of my consultants, taught me when you're going to flip this, is to stitch out like this. Right like that. And doing this, when you go to flip it, that little edge is going to want to flip inside instead of just rolling. It will want to go flat inside, and that's how we want to do that. And I forgot to do it right here, so I'm going to quickly just stitch this little end right here as well. That will make the flipping process so much faster. We're going to go over to the ironing area right over here. Now, okay, perfect. I've gone all the way around. We are going to use our scissors. We're going to clip all those edges. Or not there, not edges, corners. These are corners. We're going to clip the corners. How about that? Caught that one. Going to clip that one. Great. Set those aside. Let's see, where's the end? Oh, here it is. Here's the hole. I'm going to trim this tail because those can get really long and annoying sometimes. Put that over there. Okay, so we've got our layers right here. We've got our two right sides together and our batting. I'm going to put my thumb in through the two right sides together layers. I'm going to put my thumb all the way up into that corner. We're going to take this finger and fold down and hold that. So I'm pinching it between my two fingers like that. Can you see that? And I'm going to switch the fabric from my thumb to my pointer finger, just like that. And voila, it's almost to that point that we want. We're going to do that again. Thumb, finger, flip. Thumb, finger, flip. Last one. Thumb, finger, flip. Now we're going to flip the whole thing. This is the grand reveal. This is the fun part. Ta-da! There we go. We have our little square. It almost looks like a pillowcase. Look at all those cute bunnies. So now that we did stitch that area, those two little sides in like that, it does want to fold in on itself. So when we go to iron this, it's going to look great. I've got my little perfect OASD press and point tool. I'm going to poke out these corners a little bit more. They're pretty good though. Like, unless you're super fussy, they're pretty good for it being a little lunch mat. Okay, we'll press this corner out just a little bit more. It is kind of nice to press out these corners because we are going to be putting some, we're going to be sewing in these corners and putting in little snaps. So the less bulky they are, the better. Going to kind of flatten out there. I'm using my tool inside to kind of feel and flatten that fabric inside so it lays nice and flat. Perfect. And now it's kind of fluffy. So I'm going to fold those edges. I'm going to fold those edges in on each other. This is our little hole that we flipped it with right there. I'm going to use I'm going to move this guy, our finished guy, over here. This is a pressing sheet for vinyls and plastics and things like that. This is really going to help the whole ironing process go really well. See, let's make sure. Yeah, make sure it's still on. It's still with us. It likes to turn off if I don't pay attention to it sometimes. All right. We're going to roll that edge out. Make sure you roll the edge out all the way to the stitching as you iron. All right. Woohoo! Nice and hot. I'm just licking my fingers because it is vinyl-y and sticky, and I can roll that edge right out there. And you know me, I'm a big fan of pressing things, pressing your seams flat, because when you go to the machine and sew, you don't have to worry about fussing with your fabric as much because you've already pressed that. I don't have any of my presser seam presses here, but I'm just going to kind of fold that cool side down and kind of press along that, because that is going to help those fibers say, I want you to stay right there, when you can kind of cool it like that. Oh, that's much better. Almost there. I'm going to press this one down too. When we're done here, we're going to take it over to the sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch about 1/8 of an inch all around the edge. That's going to close up the little hole. And then it's going to help keep all of the fluffiness down, because it is vinyl and it doesn't want to press super well. All right, one more side and we're almost done. Oh, our bunnies are looking cuter and cuter as we go. I just love these little bunnies. Someone up at one of our North stores, we've been bringing in this vinyl fabric, this splash fabric for a while, or a couple of times, and they suggested that we bring in the bunnies, so their wish was granted just in time for Easter and springtime. This is such a cute spring Eastery fabric. This really makes good bibs too. Okay, there we go. We're going to head on over to the machine. Scooch that out of the way. I'm going to close up my little hole, and if you pull it tight like that, that seam will stay nice and closed while you sew it. And the 1/8 of an inch is going to be the very first little red line right beside the needle, and that's what we're going to use. Here we go. One more. There we go. Love that feature. I'm going to use this little guide to help that through. There we go. As we have to go over that knot, the little bunchy corner. Oh, it's looking so great. This is looking awesome. Use this little tool, help it get over that lump. There we go. One more. Almost done. This is the very exciting part. Yes. Almost there. This is just the A0, 0A, just the normal foot that it comes with. Nothing special. This is such an easy little pattern, and you can see how easy it is to sew with this splash fabric. I'm not using a special needle. I'm not using a special foot. This fabric is just like a breeze to sew with. It's beautiful and waterproof. Okay, little button that tells our machine that we're done. We're gonna stop. All right, we're gonna trim our threads right here, and then we're gonna go back over to our little ironing mat for the next step. All right, there's our little mat so far. Isn't it so great? It feels like you can eat on it right now. We're going to set this aside because now we're going to do our little, the little strap. So the strap in her instructions right here, it says that we need, for this strap, the handle and the little loop right here, it says we need 18 by 2.5 inch strip. So that's our strip right here. Oh no, I'm sorry. Ignore what I just said. Okay, we want it to end up being a 2.5 by 18 inch strip, but this is actually a 5 inch strip by 18 inches. Okay, and this is what you get out of the extras. So in the instructions, it tells you to fold it in half and iron it. I've already got that started. And so then you're going to take the edges and fold those in on themselves to make a nice finished handle. If you want to use tape or glue or anything like that at this point, you totally can. That will only make your handle making process that much easier. Going to fold those in right like that and press those seams right down like that. Ooh, that's nice and toasty. That one. And you know what's kind of cool? If you use kind of a hotter iron when you do this and you press the fabrics together, they kind of stick together when you iron them together, and it's really quite fabulous. Let me tell you. Okay, I'm running my hand over that to kind of cool that down because we want that to stay. After all, this is vinyl and it wants to go flat. I'm going to meet that up on the other side, right like so. Oop, need my ironing press. Right like this. Gonna press that, and as I'm ironing, I'm really pushing down on that fabric too, because I really want it to stay right there. I want it to stay. Gonna repress it a little bit, push this down, and finish up this very last end part right here. I'm just gonna press that in. Use your muscles. All right, and doing this is going to help release some of that heat. Perfect, look at our beautiful handle so far. We're gonna fold it right in half like that to make a nice finished all around handle. Gonna give it one last press. Really press that down. Give it some muscle again. Woohoo! That is nice and toasty. I'm going to cool it down, just like that. Now you can iron over this vinyl with a Lara Star just fine, but with this one, I have noticed that it likes to stick to the vinyl-y side. It works. If you want to just press out like the wrinkles, if you just bought the pack from the package and you want to just get out the wrinkles before you cut, like I said, the other side of the fabric is cotton, so you can use any iron and it's just going to iron right over it because it is just cotton on the other side. So that's really cool. Okay, so we've got our handle right here. We're going to take this over back to the machine, and I'm just going to top stitch down both sides. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I am going to increase my needle width. I should have increased it with this part, but I didn't remember until halfway through, but that's okay. It just makes it go faster. Right like that. We'll knot and cut that off. Okay, flip it over to the other side. Oh, look. There you go. I got a little excited, went right past the edge. I don't know if you saw me do that, but when you press this little button, it lifts it up just that little bit, like a half lift and not a whole lift, just in case you need to move your fabric around. Okay, we're going to come back over here. We're going to give this a cut. I'm going to use my little seam gauge here. And she says to cut off 3 inches right off the bottom. And so this is my 3-inch mark right here and right here. So I'm just going to cut right through the middle of that. I'm going to set that aside because I don't think we need it anymore. I'm going to put that there, just like that. This is going to be for our D-rings. And then this is going to be the rest of the handle that we work with. Let's cut off our little scraggly ends right there, because we don't like to work with those, because those get annoying. Let's do the D-rings. I'm going to put the handle aside. And these little Sally Tomato D-rings, we're carrying these right now with our So Fun program. So I'm just going to slide in my D-rings just like this. Oh, look, we have a little bunny on there. How fun. Have that be on the outside. Now there's no real rhyme or reason to putting these on, but when I made that one, what I liked to do is I like to make this side just like 1/4 of an inch longer than the other side, and then fold it under. Just like that. You can also use tape in this situation as well, if you like. But I just kind of held it in place. You can use tape, you can use magnets if you like. We did use So Tight magnets, and for a lot of things like this, for leather, splash, fabric, things that you don't want hole punctures in, that you don't want there. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm just kind of evenly putting this on the little corner, right on the edge there. We're going to head on over to the sewing machine, and we're going to stitch this down. I'm not doing anything fancy. I'm just going to go and make a little triangle right through the middle here. I'm going to go back 1 stitch. I want to stay with the other stitching that is there. So I did a half raise for my foot, and I scooted it back just a little bit because I want that stitch to line up with the other stitches. There we go. I'm just holding that down right there. If you don't have long nails like mine, if you've got a little stiletto to help you hold it down, that will be super helpful too. Just like that. Staying with the stitching lines I already have. Let's see if we can fold that out of the way. There we go. One more, right there, lined right up perfectly with our other stitching line. We're going to stitch right over the top of our other stitching line. And just like that. Even with all those thicknesses, that was like 2, 4, 6 layers of splash, and the insulation, I keep calling it insulation, the little tiny batting that we added in there. It was a champ, and it went right through that. Okay, there we go. We have our little square right there, and our D-rings are secure right in our little corner. Let's go back over. Well, actually, we can stay right here. because we're just going to do something very similar. I'm just going to loop the handle right in half like that. Leave about 1/4 of an inch right on the edge right there. Going to fold that down and make sure I've got it nice and aligned. That looks great. We're going to put it right on our corner. We'll look at the other side. Make sure it's lined up pretty. That looks pretty. All right, and then we're going to put it right under here again. Do the same thing. And just sew a little rectangle and really solidify this little handle in place. Oop, I went 1 stitch too far. Pull it back a little bit. Perfect. Going right down along that stitching again. I'm going to roll this up so it's not in the way, hopefully. There we go. One more stitch. Down our other stitch line. We are halfway done. We're almost done with this. We just need to put in a few of those little clips. Oops, I closed that. We can go back over to our little ironing spot right here. I'm just going to clip out all these little fluffy tails. We want the fluffy bunny tails. We don't want the fluffy thread tails, right? Get that out. Make sure there's no extra tails over here or here. And look at that. Look at how easy that was so far. Yay! This next part is super duper fun. I'm going to move my ironing mat out of the way because it's nice and fluffy and squishy, and we don't want fluffy and squishy right now. Okay, so now we're going to put in these little clips, these little finger snaps is what they're called. I had them all lined up here, but I messed it all up. So we'll bring these back over here. These are so easy, and with this, what I really love, I've got at home, I've got like a rotary punch, and it's really cool because it's a bunch of different sizes, but you're very limited with how far in you can go on your fabric. With the OESD punch, you can put a hole anywhere you want on your fabric. So let's measure these out. I'm going to go about 1 inch in. Yeah, I'm going to go 1 inch out from the corner right here, and I'm going to put a little hole right here. Maybe if it will show up. There we go. And then Gail says to put them 2 inches out apart from each other, right? Of the square, 2 inches apart. All right, so 2 inches it will be. Right in his ear right there. And then one more. It's going to be so nice and aligned. Right there. Put our lid back on so it doesn't dry out. So all you do is you put your little punch right there, and the tips come with different sizes, and honestly I'm not sure what size this is, but it was the small one. And it worked perfectly. So I just kept that on there. I'm going to put it right over my little mark that I made, and you just push down like that, and voila, I've got a hole. That easy. That was so simple. But you do want to get this little tiny mat that goes with it for sure, because you don't want to be drilling little holes into this one. Right in that spot. Boom. We've got our second hole right on his nose. Our third hole, ta-da! There it is. Okay, so we're gonna do the snaps with this one side. So all of those, the main, like the button snap, is I'm gonna put on the back. And then the little female part, I'm going to put right over the top. And I don't know if you can hear this, but listen. Ta-da! That was it. They're finger snaps, just like that. So, so easy. Okay. I'm going to slide this one in right there. And maybe. Do I have it lined up? Do I have fabric in the way? Oh, there it goes. Did you hear that? Yes. Gail did so many of these. She did so many of these. She used like 2 packets of these, and her fingers got a little tired after a while. So she actually used this little part, and she just, boom, pushed it down. And when her fingers got a little tired of pushing in these, the female part isn't so bad, but the male side has a little ridge on it that it kind of hurts after a while poking your thumb with it. Okay, ready? Where is it? I'm gonna put that over the top. Oh, there we go, just like that. Ta-da! Okay, let's measure this other side really quickly. We're gonna go 1 inch in from the corner. That looks about right. It's just a little lunchbox, so I'm not like too concerned about it being like super accurate. I'm just gonna eyeball it from here. And one more right here, right on his tail, right there. Put our lid on. This is quite satisfying. It's actually really fun. Bloop. There it goes. Make sure my mat is underneath. Bloop. There it goes. So this this punch, the reason why it's so cool, you can see it has this spiral around it. It works like a drill almost, and it just twists right into the fabric. You can kind of see the fabric kind of twisting a little bit. Right there, did you see that right at the end? And they actually have replacement parts. The tips, they are adjustable for different sizes, but sometimes these tips start to get dull, and they have replacement tips for those. So anyways, just keep that in mind. Oh, it's gonna roll away. Stay right there. Okay, so we need to do these opposite. So we are going to do the buttons on the top this time so that we can snap those together. So the button is going to go on the top, and the little male piece is going to go on the bottom there. Oh, just like that. Snap, snaps together. Going to find all the layers. You want to make sure that you don't have any extra little fibers in there before you clip these together. Ready? These won't work really well with super thick things, but they obviously it's 2 layers of our fabric right here and batting. I'm going to use the help of this little guy because that is hurting my fingers. Oh, listen to that. That's awesome. That did great. This is our last button, and we are all done with our little lunch bag plate or placemat. Portable lunch mat. Ta-da! Look at that. Finger snaps. And there you have it. We have our own little portable lunch mat, right like that. You bring these together, it's adjustable. You can do it all the way small, all the way to big, and carry your lunch. And 1, 2, 3. You can tuck in those little sides. Bring it in here. Bring it in here. Loop it in, just in case you're not as old school as I am and grew up with corduroys and these D-ring belts. You put the bottom strap through both of the D-rings, you separate the D-rings, and you loop it up over the first D-ring and through the second one, like so. They're totally 80s, totally popular in the 80s. They were so cool. Yes. Okay, and just like that, you have your little placemat, portable placemat that you can take wherever you want if you're kind of grossed out about eating in restaurants and things. You can bring your own little mat. You can use it at work. You can use it in the car or when you go picnicking or wherever you go. I hope you had a great time. I did. I want to see your creations. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll see you later.